Hello, my name is Keatron Evans. I am the principal security researcher for InfoSec Institute. My background is I've got over 20 years experience doing things such as pen testing, exploit development, where we write exploits to be able to break into things, as well as incident response. I help globally organizations respond to data breaches, hacks, and other security incidents that they may have. Yeah, they do, and you make a good point there. It depends on what people consider to be personal information, but definitely like things like your credentials, your passwords for that device specifically, they definitely store that. And if you also use those passwords for other things like websites, which I know people do have an issue with using the same password across multiple things, that password is definitely stored there. So that's something to consider. So some personal information is definitely stored in most of these smart devices. For sure, absolutely. Even the ones that don't have an actual hard drive, just a flash storage, we have forensics techniques to get information off there. And you have to, know that if we can do it, on the defensive side for good reasons, it's just like a knife. You can use it for good or bad. These bad guys will absolutely use that same technique to get that information off for bad purposes. I mean, there's definitely some variance there, whereas some of the vendors tend to have a little bit more focus on security than others. They may not leave some default settings on that would leave you in a compromising position. But I really would, I think it's wise for us to advise people to treat them all the same. You want to exercise the same security hygiene, changing your passwords on those devices, every so often, making sure you shut that device down, completely disconnect the power, let it cycle off and cycle back up, because a lot of latent or ambient information that gets stored in there, some of that information gets wiped when you shut it down physically and let it come back up. So things like shutting it down once a week, resetting your password once a month, making sure you use very strong passwords that are 15 characters or more with numbers, letters, and special characters in it. These are good things to do just as general security hygiene. So you should treat them all equally in that regard. You may be able to, depending on how much of the auto login and the remembering that they've got set up on that device. Because remember, these devices are primarily designed as a matter of convenience, right? So most of the engineering that goes into them is around making things easier to do for the consumer. So with that being the case, that is oftentimes the enemy of security, because of the fact that you can just turn it on, connect it to the internet, and everything else happens automatically, such as auto logging you into your Amazon account and stuff like that. These things also create issues, because I know for a fact that when I shut down my Alexa device, my Echo, if I take that thing and unplug it, when I plug it back in, it just comes on and it auto logs into my Amazon account. And as soon as it's logged in, I can just say to it, order me a Lamborghini, right? And the Lamborghini shows up in my front yard. I don't have to authenticate or anything like that. So definitely, if you just unplug it and you throw it in the garbage and you buy a new one, someone can likely grab that device from the garbage, plug it in. If it connects to the internet, they're able to then order stuff on your account. And we've even seen attacks where we're able to send people voice recordings and have them play that recording, and it actually causes the smart speaker to order something in another language. I record myself telling your smart speaker to order me a new PlayStation game in Mandarin, and you don't speak Mandarin. So you play that on your phone or on your computer when you get that email, and Alexa just interpreted that as ordering that device. You don't know it because you don't speak Mandarin, but Alexa did it, type of thing. So we've seen some stuff like that be successful as well. Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is 10 years ago, I would probably say not so much. But when you look at modern smart TVs and specifically modern gaming consoles, these things have 1 and 2 terabyte hard drives built into them. So they store information on there just like a computer hard drive stores information. And more people are doing things like chatting and communicating and using their game consoles to order stuff and using their smart TVs to order stuff. Most smart TVs that you get now, they have the ability to sign into Amazon or sign into, to whatever site you're commonly using. And they pretty much all come with actual web browsers now. So the lines between the difference in a computer, a smart TV, and a gaming console from a cybersecurity and compute standpoint is becoming more and more blurred. I definitely think there should be more steps in place than just that. I mean, we trust that Best Buy or GameStop's going to wipe it for you, and they do say a lot of times that they're going to do those things. But you shouldn't trust that. For one, how are they wiping it? Are they doing a good job? And two, we can't assume that every employee that works at a Best Buy or at a GameStop is going to do the right thing. And they may be the very ones that are in there trying to get your information off that device. So my recommendation is you definitely need to do something different. Before you take that device to trade it in, you should do a wipe of that device. And almost all of them come with the ability to reset it back to factory, getting rid of your information. Now that's not 100% because it's just doing a factory reset. So someone physically with that device using the right forensics tools could still probably get some things off of it, but it makes it a much harder task. And if they see that it's already got everything wiped off of it, they may decide to go to one that's less wiped to try to get information off. But if you're trying to take it and get rid of it and replace it and you're throwing it away, I would say wipe it and then physically disable that device if you can actually do that. You might even get some therapy out of that, right? Like some lethargic experience from destroying that physical device, kind of like on the movie Office Space, right? You get to go out and finally break that thing that's been giving you headaches for these years. Now, the other thing too is for most people, what they do is they're handing these devices off to someone else. They become hand-me-downs. And that can be just as much of a problem. So I would still recommend, even if you're handing it off or giving it to someone else as you're getting a new one, you want to go through the process of resetting that thing back to factory. And you might even reset it back to factory like 3 times, because when you reset these devices to factory, what usually happens is it writes over things that are there with factory settings. And the more times you do that, from a forensic standpoint, the harder it is to get information back. So I might reset mine back to factory like 3 or 4 times before I would hand it off to someone else or throw it in the garbage.